Attention, pledge, salute. I still said it backwards. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Emma, hold your hand, yours up high. You ready? Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the Christian flag and to the Savior for whose kingdom it stands, one brotherhood, uniting all Christians in service and love. All right, Wade, you ready? Stand up, guys. Stand up. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the Bible, God's holy word, and will make it a lamp unto my feet, a light unto my path, and will hide its words in my heart, that I may not sin against God. So, like a while ago, like we were trying to balance the sticks on our fingers, we did okay when it was just this one stick, right? But then when we tried to start adding other stuff to it, it took a few more chances, right? And we had to keep trying over and over. Well, that's kind of about what our lesson is today. That we're going to talk about a man that was given a second chance after he did a lot of bad things.
I just thought that.
Huh?
I just thought that.
Did you? And so, do you remember last week's was about love, and it was about Jesus calling Matthew to say, follow me, and he wanted to sit down and just hang out with Matthew because he loved him no matter what he did. Well, today's is about forgiveness, okay? We do a lot of bad things sometimes, right? But does that stop your parents from loving you? They might get disappointed, but does it stop them from loving you? No. Doesn't stop Jesus either, right? But we always want to strive to do better things, okay? So I'm going to read the story today about Paul. I need you to pay attention because once again we're going to have some questions, okay? All right, is everybody listening and you ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. All right, can y'all see this? All right. All right, you ready? It says, Paul had been chosen by God to tell the good news about Jesus to the Gentiles, people who were not Jews. Paul traveled thousands of miles telling people about Jesus and starting churches. This made some people so angry they had him arrested. Not everybody believed in Jesus, and not everybody was a Christian. And so when Paul was finally doing what he was supposed to, he was making a lot of people mad. So to stop him, they arrested him. It says, however, instead of being angry, Paul knew he could use his arrest to talk to many very important government officials. Okay, because he's going to talk to people that are in prison with him. He's going to talk to the guards. They might send somebody else down. He might talk to them. He was not going to stop witnessing. So while Paul was in prison, King Agrippa came to visit Festus, the local governor. Festus told the king about Paul, and the king asked to see Paul and listen to his story. Paul began by reminding everyone that he had grown up in Jerusalem and strictly followed the laws and rules of the Pharisees. He was a Pharisee himself. Okay, and they were they'd be like your government for a church in a way. They observed all the laws and the rules that had been written up to the T. So he had been a Pharisee himself. And at that time, he spoke out against Jesus. He placed many people who were followers of Jesus in jail, and even supported the rulers' decisions to put Jesus' followers to death. Okay? Then Paul told about the day he had been traveling to Damascus to arrest believers in Jesus. King Agrippa, Paul said, I was walking along the road about midday when I saw a light brighter than the sun. And I forgot to tell you, do you see my toolbox down here? See what's in my toolbox?
Yeah.
What didn't I have it last week?
Yeah.
What is it?
Bible.
Now see what's in my toolbox.
A light.
Yep.
A light.
So he was walking along the road, and then he saw a light brighter than the sun. He said, I fell to the ground, and so did all the people traveling with me. I heard a voice speak to me. The voice said, why are you persecuting me? Paul explained that he was confused because he did not see anyone, so he asked who was speaking, and the voice replied, I am Jesus, the one you are persecuting. In other words, the one you're hurting people in my name. You hurt me when you hurt my people. Jesus told Paul that he had been chosen to go and tell the Gentiles how they could have faith in Jesus and receive forgiveness of sins. Paul explained to King Agrippa that he obeyed the voice and told people everywhere that Jesus, the Messiah, suffered and died but rose again. Paul explained how God had helped him. Paul told the king that everything he said was true. And he says, are you trying to convince me to become a Christian too? King Agrippa asked. And Paul replied, I truly wish that not only you, but that everyone who listens to me would believe in Jesus. And that was his story. So he not only got to witness to other people, but he got to witness to the king himself. All right. You know, sometimes we do some bad things, and we keep doing those bad things until something really dramatic or really bad happens, and maybe we don't get too bad hurt, but it knocks some sense into us and say, you know what, we need to stop doing that. Maybe you're at home jumping on your bed, and you keep jumping on your bed, and your parents will say, quit jumping on the bed, quit jumping on the bed, and maybe you either one, fall off, or two, you break the bed.
Or
You're gonna be in trouble, right?
Or maybe you will break and crack in it.
True.
But
Maybe we'll have the springs.
You do? You have an Elsa bed?
I
Do
have
what?
a Batman
You'll break the
one.
springs.
Right, you might break the springs. Then you're in trouble, because then you gotta go tell your parents. Guess what? Right? So you thought jumping on the bed was no big deal because nothing had happened. But when you either fell off and hit your head and really hurt yourself, or you broke the bed, it becomes known, right, to other people, and it took something dramatic. And that's kind of what happened with Paul. He was persecuted. He was a Pharisee. He was going around and he was attacking Christians. Yes, Wade.
One time I broke my bed because I was jumping on it, and I put my mattress on the floor, because my mom and dad was okay with me putting my mattress on the floor, and that's how I slept. There's no springs or wooden, and it's okay if you just jump on the mattress, but if you have just a mattress on the floor, it's okay jumping on it, but not a blow-up mattress, a mattress that comes off the bed, and that's what I use.
All right, let's get back to the story here for a moment. So, I've already lost my train of thought. I'm going to ask you some questions about the story now, okay? About Paul, who was going after Christians. And then he finally had this great big thing happen to him where he saw this great big light that pretty much almost blinded him and couldn't tell who was speaking to him. So he had a real encounter with Jesus. And that's what changed his life around. And he quit going after Christians, and then he started telling other people about Jesus and what he's done for us. All right, so what was the king's name to whom Paul was speaking? Do you remember the name?
Paul. Paul.
No, the king. What was the king's name? Started with an A.
I have an A in my name. But my last name.
Okay, what was his name?
African?
Think about
Paul. Paul.
Agrippa.
Agrippa.
All right, King Agrippa. Who did Paul say he spoke out against? Who was he speaking out against before he had this encounter? Anybody else? I know Wade knows a lot of the answers, but anybody else know? Who was Paul speaking against when he was not in the right way? Who are we talking about? Starts with a J. Say it.
Jesus.
Jesus, right. He was speaking out against Jesus before you had that encounter. Who did Paul have put in prison when he was doing these things, when he was going after Christians? What were they called? Besides Christians, we're what? We're blank of Jesus.
Followers.
Followers of Jesus, all right? Where was Paul traveling when he saw the bright light? You remember where he was traveling? Starts with a D.
Jerusalem.
Damascus.
Damascus.
Okay? Who was the voice speaking to Paul on the road to Damascus? Starts with a J. Say it, Chance.
Jesus.
Jesus. What had Paul been chosen to tell the Gentiles? What, Emma? What, Wade?
About Jesus.
Yeah, how they could have faith in Jesus and receive forgiveness. Do you think Jesus forgave Paul after he persecuted Christians? He had them put to death. Do you think after all those bad things, do you think he forgave Paul? He did. He did.
I just got a bath.
I'm glad you did.
I was outside and I got in the pool. And
Okay.
I forgot to take a bath.
Okay. All right.
What is your bath?
Oh my goodness. All right. Listen to my question. I got a few more questions. All right. Listen. I got a few more questions. Okay. It says, why do you think some people were angry at Paul for telling the Gentiles the good news about Jesus? Because what did he used to be?
Because he used to be a person that
A Pharisee.
He used to be a Pharisee and a person that hated God and got rid of God. And put
Well,
him down.
they felt like Jesus was speaking out against their laws and things
and
like
they
that.
didn't know about Jesus, so they didn't. So some
Right.
people didn't even know what to do.
So they were trying to get rid of this man that was they felt like was contradicting some of their laws that had been around for a long time. And they thought they were protecting it. How would you have felt if you were brought before the king to tell your story? What if you were in prison and the king wanted to talk to you? How would you feel? Well, would you be a little scared at first?
No.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't be scared at all? Well, good. I'm glad.
I would just.
Okay.
But Paul, do you think Paul was scared?
No.
No. He wanted to tell people. He wanted to tell people in high places too. How did the experience on the road to Damascus change Paul's life?
Because if he wouldn't have traveled to Damascus, God wouldn't have made that light shine, and if the light wouldn't shine, God wouldn't speak to him.
Paul wouldn't be a different person, right? He encountered Jesus on the road to Damascus with a bright light in his voice, right? And so he changed his life around. What do you think Paul's old friends thought about him after he became a Christian?
Was mad.
Think they what?
They was mad.
Yeah, they maybe were. They didn't understand why he wasn't supporting them anymore, what they were doing. Sometimes we might hang out with the wrong crowd, and your parents don't like it because they're a bad influence and teaching you to do things that maybe you shouldn't be doing. And sometimes then when we decide, you know what, they really aren't good for me. I think I'm going to start hanging out with this group of people, and they're better for me, and they encourage me to go to church or go to youth group or come to Big Lips Kids. Then your old friends, don't understand it, don't know why. You see that sometimes in a lot of movies where somebody tries to change their life and make things better. Paul was not scared to tell King Agrippa that he needed to believe in Jesus. Have you ever been scared to tell someone about Jesus? Why or why not? Are you scared to tell someone about Jesus?
No.
Well, good. I'm glad.
Because I'm strong.
You're strong. So you're talking to your friends about Jesus when you're at school or at the lunch table, right? And you're acting like Jesus would want you to when you're at school or at other events, right?
We can't.
You don't try to be first. You let others go first.
In Corona, we can't do that. We don't go to the cafeteria.
Well, forget Corona. Before Corona, and the way things used to be, hopefully they'll get back that way too. It still doesn't keep you from talking to your friends, right? And it doesn't keep you from being on the ball field and playing sports or doing whatever else you might do, or going to the swimming pool and hanging out with friends, right?
Yeah.
Or even hanging out with family. You might have family members that don't believe, right?
Oh, my.
So there's always opportunities to tell others about Jesus, okay? And the best way you can tell them, even if you don't say anything, is the way you act, all right? Do you say the blessing before you eat? Bless the food that you're about to eat.
Yeah.
Watch what comes out of our mouth. Don't use bad language, even if we maybe hear it a lot. Things like that. That's how you be a Christian example. And then other people will follow, because they're not going to believe anything you say if you're not acting much like a Christian, right? Right, Wade? All right. I think that is the end of my story. But so we talked about last week's lesson was about love. And what is today's lesson on? Starts with F.
Faith.
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. What did Jesus do to Paul?
Forgive him for.
He forgave him, right? Where have I laid? Oh, here it is. All right. So remember, we're building the structure over here. It's about concrete and cranes. And
Wow, what is on all the others on top?
I'm not sure. Savannah, can you find me some tape right quick? I don't know where the tape roll got to.
But I have a question.
So we're gonna add to it. What's our first structure over here that we've been adding?
Love.
Thank you.
Love.
All right. And so, what do you think today's is going to be that we're adding?
Forgiveness.
Very good.
Forgiveness.
All right. So help me out here. Tell me if I've got it straight.
You got it
You
straight.
think so?
Yeah.
Straight.
Straight.
I have a question.
What way?
Why is there a we in here?
Because this is a youth room. So they do things
Where?
in downtime.
Where? Oh, we?
All right, but we're not focusing on the we, okay?
We.
All right.